And so we'll start with a roll call in the order that I see the pictures. So Phil Metzger's here, Barry Nelson's here, Barbara Federico, Kathy Barbara, Mark Keeling, Caitlin Downey, and myself, Brian Best. Those are trustees. And so we also have Carol Cott, Jenna, Luann Nicholson, and our director, Tim Wiles, and our new treasurer, Anthony Rapicki, and our assistant director, Margaret Garrett. So I think that's everyone at the moment. And Sean Silvernail up there, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Brian, can I ask a question of Sean? I only have like 5 pictures at the bottom. How do I get everybody on the screen?
I think it's up in the top corner. How did I do this?
Right.
Right. It should be in the upper right-hand corner. You should be able to switch between grid view. Should be like bunch of squares, 4 squares.
And I did that. I just get participants, myself, Gilblen Library, Brian, Barry, you know, the people that are on. But not.
I clicked it and I got everyone now. It worked for me.
Does somebody want to share their screen and show Barbara Ware?
I tried that last time and it took it off. I'll try again. Let's see what happens when I share the screen. There we go. Does it work?
There you go.
Does it show it or does it show this? I can't. There we go. So Barbara, I don't know how much you see, but there's this little button up here.
No, it's actually just showing your website.
Yeah, see that it like removes the screen for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know what you did, but now I don't got anyone.
Hang on, he's going back.
It shouldn't have any effect on what you.
He's going back.
Let's see. Share this one. Maybe this is it. Maybe it won't be it.
Okay, now I got. Well,
Is this?
every time it says you're starting to share content, my screen goes blank.
No. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop because it's not working.
Yeah, it'll settle down in a second.
Okay.
I don't know. Any luck, Barbara? Up in the right-hand corner? Nothing?
No, and when I hit that right-hand corner, as I said, it just lists the participants and, you know, going down in a column. But nothing that,
You see the circle with the 4 squares in it?
Right under where it says connected.
no, all I have is the participants 14 and then an X to the right of that, but there's no circle.
Oh, I see. All right. So how about so I have my list of participants, like slightly to the left of that, above what would be for me is your picture, but whoever's like the rightmost picture, right above that.
Yeah, it says floating panel view.
So hit floating panel.
I just did that.
To the left of that should be the 4 boxes. At least on mine it is.
Yeah.
Grid view. I bet you that's
There you go.
That's it. You got it.
good. We are good. Thank you, guys.
No problem. Okay. So with that, I think we'll go into public input session. Oh no, but let's do the Pledge of Allegiance first. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice
for all.
Okay. So with that, we'll go into the public input. Is there any public input, Luann?
No public input as of now.
Okay. So at that, I'd also like to take a moment of silence for our former trustee, Ruth Bell, who passed away on May 24th, 2020. So I'll take a moment of silence. Okay. And with that, we will move on to the treasurer's report. Anthony, you are up.
Hello, everybody. So I reviewed the check registers and the financial statements, income statement, and balance sheet. And there's a few comments to make. First thing, looking at the check register, you'll notice that the checks run from May 4th through the 18th. There were no checks issued past that date, so the next ones are in June. So kind of a short month for May. Switching over to the income statement, and as I make comments on the income statement and balance sheet, I'll reference back to the check register. But in follow-up to last meetings, there was a pending payment of a tax levy that was expected to be received in May, and that was received, and that's shown on the income statement. You'll also notice that the interest income has decreased significantly from last month. Last month's figures was larger due to some CDs maturing, so it decreased a little bit this year back to what would be more of a normal level. Other items to note on the income statement are the negative expense for workers' comp. That's the result of a refund from the New York State Insurance Fund. Moving over to the money market and LPL decreased by about 200K, and that was done to cover operating expenses. The deferred charges on the assets went up by about 40K, and you'll notice that there are 40K in charges on the June check register, and that's being reflected in the May balance sheet because it was an invoice received in May, so that's how those tie together. Everything else seemed consistent with GAAP and tied together to the check register. Any comments or questions on what you saw?
I have a question.
Sure, Jerry.
On the balance sheet under the assets, it says LPL Financial, CD, and a money market.
Yes.
I was curious, what is LPL?
LPL is a investment company. They do both stocks and manage cash accounts.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just had no idea.
They're sort of like a Morgan Stanley or a Citibank. They're independent. They're not associated with any big banks.
Good. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, with that, I'll take a motion to approve the treasurer's report and the check registry.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Barry, seconded by Barbara. Barbara, you were muted for that. So seconded by Barbara. All those in favor of approving the treasurer's report and the check registry, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, unanimously adopted. With that, I see that we are joined by Noreen Rivas. Welcome, Noreen. I think that's it at the moment. Okay, welcome. And so now we are moving to the reopening update. Tony, as I said last time, you are more than welcome to stay as long as you want, but with your stuff done, you can also leave if you want. So it's totally, the ball is totally within your court. But yeah, so I'll move on to the reopening update from Tim.
Okay, so overall, the reopening process is going well. Curbside pickup of material previously on hold began on Tuesday and is going very smoothly. We are likely to kick that up a notch after tomorrow afternoon when we have a department heads meeting, and with the goal of moving soon to letting people place new holds. A lot of PPE has been acquired, enough PPE that we're able to operate. It was a very difficult process to acquire it. Took myself, Margaret, and Lou Warner weeks of effort to try to find places where we could buy that stuff. We got a good assist from Upper Hudson Library System, which was able to bring in a lot of this stuff for us. We are still a little bit behind on installing plexiglass, but it's not as important right now because we don't have patrons in the building. We acquired 4 sheds with the generous help of the foundation to quarantine library material for 72 hours after it's returned. We should be able to begin that process on Monday. That's our target at the moment. The staff that is back in the building has been separated into 2 teams. Team Blue, which is in the building now, for 2 weeks, which started on Monday of this week. And that's followed by Team Yellow, which will be in for 2 weeks. And the theory there is the coronavirus incubation period is thought to be 14 days. So if somebody gets sick, then we send them home for 14 days. The whole team, as we understand it, has to go home and quarantine if somebody does get sick. The staff that is in the building, as well as the staff working from home, are enthusiastic and industrious. Frankly, I thought there would be a little more anxiety, but on my first day back in the building with my team, I'm in the building now, by the way, but not at the moment. I'm at home now. But anyway, there was a lot of relief to be out of the house and a lot of happiness to see each other again, and a lot of cleaning going on. I have a suggestion for moving forward with staffing that I'd like to discuss in executive session later. The public has been patient and supportive of the efforts to be health conscious first, safety conscious first. They are also, it's fair to say, eager for the resumption of more services. But nobody has been, disgruntled, I guess you could say. We were successful in acquiring 2 electrostatic spraying devices. So these are devices that you can spray atmospherically in the building, and they, what electrostatic means is that a positive charge goes out through the trigger of the thing, an electrical charge, and it catches droplets that are in the air and neutralizes them. So we're in good shape there. We ordered these in late March after closing March 13th, and one came in this past Tuesday and one the week before that. Our custodians have learned how to use them, and we are using them at the end of every week and before any team turnover. We have a challenge coming up in the future to create social distancing of staff. If you guys think of the Tawacenta room where we have our normal board meetings, we have a room that's only slightly larger than that houses 14 staff members. So we will be distributing some of them throughout other spaces in the library. And right now the teams help to reduce the number of people that are there at any given moment. The situation overall, seems, in my opinion, to be improving quickly here in New York State, even while it's not improving in other places. But what is kind of exhausting is things taking a lot more time than they would normally take. Like all the PPE that we ordered could have been ordered in an hour under normal market conditions, but we worked on it for a couple of weeks. As you know, from like the meeting we're having right now, sometimes these things take a little bit longer than they would have taken in person, that sort of thing. But overall, it's going very well. And I would say also that we are not the first library in the Upper Hudson system to be doing these things, nor are we the last library. We're somewhere right around the middle. There's a document on the Upper Hudson Library System webpage, if you're interested, where you can click on it and compare what the different libraries are doing as we speak. So that's what I've got. I'm certainly happy to take questions.
So I did have a question.
Sure.
So just so I understand it, so if someone gets sick, everybody gets sent home. So that means that the other crew gets shuffled in, and I guess so. Like everyone's okay with possibly having to suddenly come into work the next day at a moment's notice. And by everyone, I mean I guess half the staff. That's understood.
They are aware of it. They understand it. Of course, we're hoping that nobody gets infected. But if somebody that was in the building got an infection, COVID infection, we would, send them for their medical treatment. The rest of that team would go home. We would then clean and sanitize the building and then wait 24 hours before cleaning. That's part of the recommendation because it allows the air droplets to settle. So we'd wait 24 hours and we'd clean and sanitize and the other team would come in. So, and if the, go ahead.
So I was gonna say is, so I was like kind of sick 2 weeks ago and I got tested and I didn't have it, but it kind of made me understand the process. So if someone does get sick and then they get tested, I think it takes at least a little while, or at least it did for me, to verify if I had it or not. So what's kind of the process during that, I really don't feel well, and, getting the results?
Okay. So actually, Margaret might be better at this than me, but basically, we have a 4-part test that everybody takes before they come into the building, which includes taking your temperature. And if it's 100 or over, you just don't come in. And a lot of the COVID symptoms are the same as standard respiratory symptoms, so the staff has been encouraged that if you don't feel bad at all, don't come in, which is kind of supported by the limited service that we're doing right now. We could carry it out with the fewer people than are in the building at any given time. So if somebody's not reporting to work tomorrow, for example, because they have, they answered yes to one of the 4 questions on this survey, then we're going to basically advise that they go see their doctor right away. Tomorrow is a Friday, so we'd have the advantage of a couple days where at the moment we're closed on Saturday and Sunday. But basically, we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it and hope that we don't come to it. But you do have to stop, clean, and sanitize, and you do have to wait the 24 hours. And yes, waiting a while for results could be an issue. It's not perfect, but it's better than that.
This is Margaret. I will just add that there's a flow chart that we can follow from the New York State Insurance Fund about sick employees and what we do if someone either has symptoms with or without test confirmation, or tests and has no symptoms. We contact the state and local health department, and they have a checklist for us to review with them, and they will advise us as to whether it's the whole team that's going home, just the individual who's staying home, who can stay home perhaps for just 72 hours versus the 14 days. So this isn't a decision that's made by the library alone. We're going to do this in conjunction with the local authorities, who will advise us depending on the circumstances that we present to them from the particular employee.
All right. I just, it seems unlikely someone would get COVID, but it's, people are going to get sick. So I see it. So I just want to make sure you seem prepared for when people get sick, although not necessarily get COVID. And it seems like you guys have a good process in place. So thank you.
We basically preface the daily survey that employees need to take with an example. For one of the questions is, have you developed sneezing or something like that? I myself suffer from seasonal allergies. If you can explain your symptom, if you had, for example, a bad meal the night before and it didn't agree with you, that isn't necessarily a sign of COVID. So if you can explain your symptom, that's fine. But if you can't, then we're going to raise that question.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds good to me. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments?
Just a quick question. You said we're not open Saturday and Sunday, and yet as people go back to work, I'm sure they would look forward to coming in on a Saturday or Sunday to pick up their stuff. When is that going to happen?
Okay, so one thing we've done so far on that is that we're open until 7 on Tuesday and Thursday to try to mitigate that factor for people that work 9 to 5. And expanding the schedule in general is on the list of things we want to talk to the department heads about tomorrow at 1:30. And so in a nutshell, that would be bringing people in for 7.5-hour work days, which would allow us to expand the curbside pickup hours, and we could move to Saturdays soon. I don't really know, but a Saturday isn't any different than a Monday through Friday in terms of staff availability. Like, we regularly work Saturdays anyway, so we're looking to resume that soon. I don't have a firm date.
All this entire episode, our staff has been being paid, correct?
Yes, yes. Yep.
And do you have the cleaning staff broken out into 2 crews as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Any other comments, questions? All right, I guess with that, we will move on to committee reports, which I believe there aren't any, but I'll just run through them real quick. Building and grounds, Barry?
No meeting yet.
Okay. Finance, Caitlin?
Did not
Pretty
meet.
sure that, okay. Labor management, Barbara?
No.
Policy, Nareen?
No.
UHLS, Herb, I don't see Herb on, and I have no idea if UHLS had any sort of meetings. Foundation, Mark, I know the foundation is meeting right now. You're on mute.
It was moving on me there. I had to grab it before it got away. No, there is nothing for the foundation.
Okay. And then nominating committee, oh, I put myself, but it's really Barbara. I know Barbara is working on creating a nomination list. So if you're interested in a position, I guess I would talk to Barbara right away. Barbara, did you have anything you want to add?
No, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you, Barbara, for everything you're doing on that. So with that, we'll move to the directors and department heads report. Tim, back to you. You're on mute. Tim, you're on mute.
Mute.
Okay, not much additional to report, but just a few things to highlight. The monthly reports were good and summarized what's been going on. The state education documents for the next phase of the construction grants were submitted on time in the last week of May. And Megan Brennan, the architect from Butler, Rowland and Mays, reports that it was the best possible environment in terms of backlog. There's always a backlog at SED reviewing construction plans, but at the point that she submitted them in the last week of May, it was a 10-week estimated backlog. Longtime board members will remember that at one point we thought we were going to have to pay a special fee to get our project expedited because there was an 18 to 24 month backlog, but they've cleaned up their backlog, which is awesome. We can expect approval by mid-August and going to bid in October as planned previously. So the building process is going well. Just I briefly mentioned this in the virus report, but administrators and department heads are just 3 or 4 meetings a day, and then besides that doing like webinars on the legalities of opening and the coronavirus and so forth. So it's a long day, and I thank everyone except for myself. I can't thank myself, but anyway, so that's a little report. The online services that we've always had, but that we've enhanced since the closure of the library, are really going very, very well. The online programming is being supported in some cases with numbers as high or higher than the same programs taking place in the library. The standard, popular programs are the ones that so far our programming department has chosen to move online. So that's book club events, the clutter boot camp, the trivia contests on Tuesdays, the cookbook club. Those kinds of things are going very, very well, as are the online activities for youth. And speaking of youth, the summer reading program has moved completely online, consistent with basically every other library, certainly in the Upper Hudson and I think in New York State. And the librarians who are in charge of developing that have done just a fabulous job. As you may recall from earlier meetings, for a while they had to plan on 3 parallel tracks, life as normal, life completely virtual, and some kind of mix. But basically the industry locally has settled in on completely virtual summer reading programs. So that's already been promoted and publicized. We've got some good cooperation on that from the teachers, librarians, and publicity people at the Guilderland School District. And we do expect that it will be embraced. because there's a lot of enthusiasm that we've seen so far.
All right, great. Anyone have any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve the directors and department heads report for May 2020.
So moved.
Moved by Barbara, seconded by Mark. Seconded by Mark. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, unanimously approved. So next we'll move to old business. I guess we have none, so then we can move to new business. I had, there's two things I wanted to put in here. First, I wanted to recognize the great outstanding work that Phil Metzger and Herb Hennings have given to the board. You know, we all saw the results, and I guess you guys, you know, were unlucky this time. So I think this is your last meeting, but you guys have been great servants to the board. You know, Phil, you haven't been here that long, but you've contributed a ton, and Herb has been, you know, has been great. He's been willing to do the stuff that a lot of times other people wouldn't do. A good example of that would be UHLS. Like, that's not a fun position, being that, and he has done that for years now. And really done a really good, thorough job being the UHLS liaison. So, so it's, I know he's not unfortunately on, but you know, I think I can speak for everyone. We say thank you guys for your service, and you know, we appreciate everything you guys have done. Okay, so does anyone else want to add anything?
I'd just like to add my personal thanks to those two guys.
Perfect.
Brian, the same with me. Phil was invaluable in our negotiations, and Herb, with all his background and civil service and all, again, was a nice member of the team.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have one thing to add there. I was talking to Tim Burke today on another matter, and the seat that Herb has on the Upper Hudson Library System Board is a permanent seat that is given to Guilderland Public Library. And so, as Tim explained it to me, it will be Herb's choice whether he wants to continue in that. The person that fills that role does not have to be a trustee of the Guilderland Public Library, but just has to be a Guilderland resident. So
Interesting.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
We'll get in touch with Herb and ask him what his outlook is toward that.
Okay. I mean, so that's going to be up probably to the next president, but I think it would be smart to, you know, see what Herb's thinking is that. But yeah, I think it's probably a decision for the next president. It would, you know, be my opinion. But certainly, I would think it would be great for Herb to do it. But you know, it's not my call anymore. Okay. So there was one other thing I wanted to. This may not fit perfectly in a new business, but the admin staff, and I don't know if any trustees were nice enough to get me a baby gift, and I just wanted to thank you guys. It really has come in handy. We use it all the time. So thanks a lot for everyone who contributed to that.
Brian, you're welcome. I didn't do the shopping, but I think it was great that we did that for you. I do have two new business items that have arisen in the last 24 hours. So can I go ahead with those?
Yep.
Okay. The first is that, as most of you probably know, the governor has declared that starting tomorrow, Juneteenth or June 19th every year will be a state holiday. Excuse me, a holiday for state workers, I believe is what he's said so far. And so I got an email last night from one of our CSEA unit presidents, and CSEA is encouraging the employers who have CSEA in their workforces who don't necessarily have state employees, our employees are not state employees, to make a decision on whether they want to recognize this holiday going forward. So I promised that I would bring that to this group, and I emailed Brian on it. I don't know if you got that, Brian. I think it was probably about noon today that I
Yeah,
got to that.
I was locked in work. I didn't see that email, but sorry.
Okay. So, I think probably everybody knows what the holiday is, but I can certainly give it a quick review if that's necessary.
Why don't, yeah, if I'm not putting you on the spot, just to mention it real quick.
Sure. Well, it's a celebration in the African American community and now throughout New York State. And it celebrates a day in 1865 when a Union general, I think, went to Galveston, Texas, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in Texas, and freed the slaves that were there who had actually been freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, but because there was no internet and no radio and no TV, it was slow to take hold across the South. So it's an important day in African American history, and with the climate of civil unrest that has taken place as a result of the various police and African American citizen incidents, our governor has declared it a state holiday. So I think it would be very, very difficult for us to celebrate it tomorrow as a staff, because we already have appointments tomorrow for people to pick up material at the library. So one thought that occurs to me is that at the July annual meeting, we always set our calendar. So perhaps we could discuss it at the July meeting.
Perfect. I think so I'll just start. So I think it's a great idea. I think certainly going forward, it's great to do this. I guess I hate in general when we do, things at the last minute. And I know this wasn't, your fault, Tim. It was the governor like a day ago doing this. So, so I guess that was, my only thing with giving tomorrow off is just, he kind of did this at the last minute. But certainly going forward, I think it's a great idea. And I think your suggestion is a good one, but I will, open it up for full discussion.
Brian, it's a matter of negotiations. I mean, we have contracts that we've just finished, and there are stated holidays in that. I mean, I can see if you want to reopen, but you can't just give away a holiday, on somebody's whim. That would have to be negotiated. It'd have to be a memorandum of agreement or something if, the board decides to go in that direction. You can't just give a paid holiday with no contract to back it up.
Other thoughts, comments?
I think we all need a little time to discuss it, so next month would be a lot better to do some investigating and reading up and, trying to figure things out.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded like from my understanding is he's going to make it a state holiday, or going to try, and I'm probably successfully make it a state holiday. So I guess maybe that's something we look into is if it's a state holiday, do they get off? And I'm inclined to just, give this to them in the future. I don't know if it has to be necessarily negotiated, but, that's just my viewpoint. But as far as tomorrow goes, I think maybe, we're all good with them actually working.
Can I just ask a question? Are we concerned that they're going to fight this during negotiations? Like, is that a concern? Because I feel like this is something that everyone would be in favor of.
Yeah, I would too, right? I mean, who doesn't want a paid holiday?
Well, again, you're giving away taxpayers' money, so you have to.
It's also not about just the holiday, the negotiation. It's more than that.
Agreed.
So Jason, if I understood your question correctly, you were asking if the staff would be.
This is a pretty good assumption that the staff will at a minimum enjoy another day off.
I agree, and I think there's also a high degree of support for the concept behind the holiday among our staff. And I just remind everybody that it was our staff CSEA representative who brought it up. So I think it's a fair assumption they would both enjoy the day off and also understand the meaning of the day.
And I agree with that. My the only reason I'm saying I'd like a little time, I definitely think that this should be a holiday, but I know a lot of times when I worked for the state for 30 plus years, we got a holiday or a day off, but they took a different day away. It was a trade. And I'd like to see if the state is going to be moving forward with that. Or even if that is something that we can, that we should do, even if the state doesn't. I just want to think about it. I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying, I just heard about this 2 minutes ago, and I'd like a little time to think about the entire concept. I definitely agree that this should be a holiday, but
But before we go, I also want to I want to thank you, Tim, because that was a great little summary of what Juneteenth is. Because I feel like a lot of people didn't actually know what it was. Not just among many groups of people didn't know what it meant, and it's a celebration that's going on all the time, every urban culture across America. So it's not like it's something that's new. It's new for a lot of different people.
Thanks.
Okay. So it sounds like we'll discuss it at the July meeting, and so everyone take some time to think about it, and we'll figure out how we want to proceed.
Okay. The second matter I have to bring up arose at about 4 o'clock today. So when I was welcoming my staff back on Monday, they asked me how often we change the air filters in the building and whether we were using the proper grade to try to protect against coronavirus. So I promised to do a little research on that. And on Wednesday, I had completed that research, and Lou had done the research as well. And we had recently moved from one level of air filter to a slightly higher efficiency air filter, which is the optimum one for a building like ours, and we replace them quarterly. And so specifically what the staff asked me is, should we be replacing them more often than quarterly under the current virus conditions? So I did some, reading and some Googling, and I ended up at the National Air Filtration Association. And it turns out that the practices we're following right now are perfect for our building. And that's also what our consultant who sells us that material, which is custom made for our air filters, agrees. He recommended a year or so ago that we move to these slightly higher efficiency filters, and we did. However, I learned at about 4 this afternoon that people are interested in a supplemental air filtration system for the building. And so I went back to the same website, and my initial review is that that is not in and of itself an effective strategy for controlling airborne viruses. However, I think that for due diligence, it requires a little more work on my part. I think we should be contacting Butler, Rowland, and Mays, and also Technical Building Systems, and getting opinions from them, opinions which I think would be free. So I just wanted to let you know that it's a potential expense, and I'll try to find out if other libraries are considering this as well. I've got no recommendation at the point, but I think the board needs to be made aware that this is a possible ask in the future. Any questions or comments on that?
Good.
I will add a humorous note. I was talking about our electrostatic sprayers earlier in our coronavirus report, and our good friend Barry texts me, of course, whenever there's a fire call at the library. So the last fire call at the library was because we were learning how to use the electrostatic sprayer, and we had pointed it in the wrong direction. So we've learned not to do that.
And we appreciate it.
Thanks. We appreciate all your help.
Okay. So so I guess we're good with new business. No one had anything else they wanted to bring up? Okay. So we'll move to minutes of our last board meeting. I'm sure everyone has closely reviewed them. Is there a motion to adopt them?
Yes.
Who's that?
Phil.
Phil. Motion by Phil, seconded by Jason.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Brian,
Yes.
this is Jenna. Jason has to abstain.
Okay, so he seconded, but he's abstaining. So, all right, so noted. Anyone opposed? Okay, unanimously adopted with one abstention. Okay, so next, is there any more public input, Luann?
All's quiet on the northeastern front, Brian.
All right, that's all I like to hear. Okay, with that, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Motion.
Motion by Barry, seconded by, I couldn't tell, was that Nareen? Second, Nareen. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are in executive session. Tim, who do you want to keep in executive?
If